Get ready to tune in, turn back the dial, and rediscover the airwaves of yesteryear. This is Echoes from the Past, your backstage pass to the shows that changed everything.
All right, so let's dive into the world of Flash Gordon, a story where cosmic-scale disaster meets daring adventure. Now imagine this. Earth, minding its own business, suddenly finds itself under attack. Fiery meteors are raining down, causing chaos and leaving humanity scrambling for answers. And honestly, it's one of those moments where you think, wow, that escalated quickly, right? This is where we meet Dr. Hans Zarkov. He's kind of brilliant, but he's, well, not exactly your calm and collected thinker. In the middle of this crisis, Zarkov decides the meteors aren't just some natural phenomenon. They're, wait for it, deliberate weapons from outer space. So instead of, notifying the authorities or forming a team, he builds a rocket ship. Just like that. And that's the kind of eccentric genius we're dealing with here. Now, here's the twist. Zarkov doesn't just build the ship. Oh no. He kidnaps two unwitting passengers, Flash Gordon and Dale Arden, and takes them along for the ride. Talk about an unconventional travel plan. So they blast off into space, heading directly for the source of the meteors, the mysterious planet Mongo. And on Mongo, the story only gets crazier. Turns out those meteors? They're weapons created by Ming the Merciless, the planet's self-proclaimed evil ruler. I mean, with a title like that, Merciless, you're not expecting a guy to throw dinner parties or run charity events, right? Ming is bent on destruction. Classic villain vibes. And our heroes? They're just trying to stay alive and figure out how to stop him. This whole setup, chaos on Earth, space travel, a diabolical tyrant, reminds me of the radio shows I used to listen to as a kid. One summer I was staying with my grandparents, and they had this old radio. We'd sit around for hours just listening to these wild, dramatic stories. Everything felt larger than life. It's kind of funny how those stories stick with you, isn't it? Anyway, the way Flash Gordon's story kicks off with such high stakes is part of what makes it so unforgettable. Simple, yet so epic. And things only get more fascinating when you start exploring the planet Mongo itself. All right, let's explore the planet Mongo a bit more because, honestly, it's one of the wildest, most imaginative places you could imagine. Now, you've got your icy landscapes in Phrygia, ruled by Princess Freya, of course, where everything's glittering and cold and just, well, kind of awe-inspiring. And then, on the flip side, there's Tropica. It's lush, green, buzzing with jungle life, and it's ruled by Queen Desira. The whole vibe there is so different, from snowy tundras to tropical rainforests. Mongo, I think, manages to feel like an entire universe jam-packed into one planet. It's like every corner feels, like a whole new adventure waiting to happen. Now, some of the episodes are just unforgettable, like Sacrifice for Poseidon. This one has, let's see, Flash, Dale, and Zarkov plunging right into the undersea kingdom of the Sharkmen. And yeah, ruler, King Kala. The stakes are insanely high here, and the whole underwater vibe makes it feel different from anything else in the series. It's creative, but also there's this constant tension, And then there's Showdown with King Tarok. Oh man, that one takes place in a forest kingdom, and it's all about loyalty and betrayal. Like, really digging into what it means to stand your ground as a hero, even when the odds are against you. Flash Gordon really leans into these heavy themes of heroism and exploration, and the characters. They're always on the move. It's a kind of relentless storytelling, where every new place brings its own conflicts, its own emotions, This sense of moving from one ear-catching scenario to the next is what keeps the series so engaging. I mean, you've got Flash taking on each new challenge, and these kingdoms, they're not just backdrops for action. They've got rulers with distinct personalities like Freya and Desira, who have just as much presence as Flash himself. It's like these worlds live and breathe, and their rulers? They're compelling in their own right. And when you think about it, that's a big part of why Flash Gordon still feels timeless. Beyond the space battles and, Ming the Merciless plotting evil schemes, it's Flash and his crew exploring these vivid new places that keeps the story moving with so much energy. It's that mix of action and exploration, drama, and... All right, let's talk about some of the behind-the-scenes challenges and triumphs when it comes to the Flash Gordon series. Because, yeah, even a cult classic like this has its hurdles. First up, something many listeners have pointed out: audio quality. I've seen reviews mentioning static, volume dips, and let's be honest, those occasional moments where you're like, wait, what did they just say? But, considering these episodes were created almost 100 years ago, it's kind of amazing we even have them at all, right? And then there's the issue of episode repetition. Some feedback suggests listeners were frustrated noticing how the same series was reposted multiple times. I get it. It does feel confusing. Like, you're following along, and then suddenly it's déjà vu. But I think this goes to show how old-time radio wasn't just entertainment. It was an event. People would tune in week after week, and, well, in some ways, it's like the early days of podcasting. Content would get recycled or air in different formats to keep it alive. Speaking of keeping it alive, this series has achieved something remarkable. It's reached listeners all over the world. I mean, Flash Gordon, a story that started as a comic strip in the 1930s, is now enjoyed by families in, places far removed from where it was created. That kind of reach speaks to the power of storytelling, doesn't it? It's like no matter where you are, there's something universal about these adventurous tales that draws people in. And here's the thing. Let's talk about how much influence Flash Gordon's storytelling rhythm has had on modern podcasting. Those tight, action-packed episodes, they weren't just about the plot. They were about pacing, keeping listeners hooked, one moment to the next. And this idea of taking listeners on a vivid journey, even if just for a few minutes, is still the crux of great shows today. What's fascinating is how Flash Gordon took complicated worlds and distilled them into simple, digestible chunks. It's a reminder that, even now, simplicity can create some of the most memorable stories. As podcasters, we can still learn a ton from that. Short, punchy narratives with clear stakes? They're timeless for a reason. So, yeah, Flash Gordon's world might feel like another time, retro, nostalgic, but at its core, it's about daring heroics, the curiosity to explore the unknown, and those universal dramas that make us lean in closer. And that's what storytelling is all about, isn't it? On that note, we'll wrap up for today. Thanks for joining me on this journey into Flash Gordon's universe. It's been a blast, and hey, maybe next time we'll explore another classic that shaped the way we tell stories now. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the airwaves of the past. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the classic radio shows that shaped generations and left a lasting legacy. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode of Echoes from the Past. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to share it with fellow fans of history, storytelling, and vintage radio magic. Until next time, keep your dial set to the golden era and let the echoes of the past remind us of the timeless power of radio.